I'm Dr. Ben Weitz. I'm a chiropractor and functional medicine practitioner, and I hope you consider attending some of our future meetings. I just wanted to let you know what our schedule is. So June 29th, we have Dr. Q Collins, and he'll be talking about deuterium and health, which is kind of interesting. I know. If anybody came to the diet debate, do you remember they were the last folks talking about the ketogenic diet and heavy water and all that? Also, if you check out my podcast, I have a weekly podcast called the Rational Wellness Podcast. And a few weeks ago, I interviewed Dr. Q Collins, so you can get some information about that. But it's really fascinating. And then July 27th, we have Dr. Holly Lucille on women's hormonal health. August 24th, we have Dr. Carlos Ulis on men's sexual health. Andrea Nakayama for September. And in October, we're trying to line up a debate on vaccines. And so if anybody knows an MD who would like to argue the pro-vaccine debate, it won't be exactly a pro or con vaccine.
Jay Gordon.
No, pro-vaccine.
Oh.
Yeah. I think we have somebody for that side. Please let me know. Also, join our closed Facebook page, and thank you very much to Metagenics for sponsoring this meeting and bringing us this wonderful food. So I'm going to introduce James Maskell. He's become a very important figure in the functional medicine world, partially through the education program that he created, the Functional Forum, which is a videotaped, very interesting conference seen by thousands of nutritional practitioners around the world once a month. So they organize meetings that you can attend. One of our functional medicine discussion group members, Gabriel Niles, he organizes a monthly meeting in Culver City. It's the first Monday of the month, and they have really great prominent speakers. He usually posts it on our Facebook page. James also published The Evolution of Medicine. He lectures internationally and is dedicated to promoting the spread of functional medicine. He's been featured on TED-Med, Huffington Post Live, and many more venues. He also serves on the faculty of George Washington University's Metabolic Medicine Institute. He's also a sought-after business consultant and offers a number of programs to help functional medicine doctors improve their marketing, acquire new patients, and run more efficient and successful practices. And so we're going to hopefully get some kernels of wisdom from James about helping us to improve our practices, and I want everybody to interact as much as possible. So let's give a nice applause to James Maskell.
Thank you, James. Thank you. Do you mind if I stand up?
Sure.
I'm more of a like a stand-up comic vibe, I think.
Can you get us in there?
Yeah, no, actually, that's enough for the camera.
Okay.
Sorry.
Sorry. Thank you.
It's such a pleasure to be here with all of you. Obviously, a big part of the success of the Functional Forum has been about creating community for practitioners who have no community. I think everyone can empathize or feel like at a certain point have felt like this is a sort of a weird type of medicine that other people don't get. And I think for a long time, people have felt very isolated in this community. And I was inspired actually by Hanna back in January 2011. I was beat up, so I saw how much everyone liked it, and I decided it was they needed that in New York, and it was really through what I realized was that there was an opportunity to be able to create community with practitioners who may call themselves different things, but are fundamentally doing pretty much the same thing. And also, there's this convergence happening between functional medicine and genomics and the digital health revolution as well, that was going to put our community where it needs to be, right at the front of medicine. The first thing that I ever said on the Functional Forum, and the thing that I think resonated with people, is I said we need to start acting like we're winning and stop acting like we're losing, because this is like the future of non-communicable disease, and no one else knows how to deal with type 2 diabetes, autoimmune disease, heart disease in the way that we do. And so rather than just, I know for a long time, and perhaps the reason why I was able to say this as someone with like 0 medical credentials at all, is that everyone else has felt a little bit trodden down by the system. I think that's sort of like an inferiority complex. And what the energy that we've tried to put out through the functional forum is that this is the future of medicine. You better get ready for what's about to happen. There's an unlimited number of sick people, and we just need to organize ourselves better to get to people who need us, and that's a lot more people. So, one of the things that I learned from that was really the remarkable power of community. And I want to talk a little bit tonight about community building, because Ben has done it through Metagenics. Like, this is the reason why I don't really like to go to as many medical conferences as I used to, because I went to so many for so long. And there's a lot of other things out there, but what I do like to come to is self-organizing groups of practitioners, because there's something about, not being like Ben, not asking for permission from anyone to do it, just doing it, taking initiative, bringing groups of people together. And the value that you get from the peer-to-peer interactions in the room are just as valuable, if not more valuable, than anything that I can say here today. And so I know that there are people here looking for connections with other practitioners, and that's what it's all about. And the thing that we can learn about this is there's so much to learn about community for the building of successful practices. And I want to talk about 2 ways. I want to just sort of give you some things to think about how you're building a practice, so that I tick the box of, like, James gave me some good nuggets here tonight, and then if we want to go into like a bit of a different discussion about the future of medicine, we can do that later, but I want you guys to feel like you really got something out of this. So, one of the things that I want to think about is let's talk, there's 2 main things, or 3 areas that I feel that functional medicine has not done particularly well at, that if we did a little bit better at, would mean that, we could take a rightful place as an upgraded operating system for primary care. Does everyone sort of agree with that? That like a more empowered approach at the very front end of medicine would lead to more people being out of the system, take pressure off what's an obviously way under pressure specialist system and primary care system and hospital system, who have their own incentive to be under pressure, and we all understand that. But to really think about what would it take for us to be this new front line of healthcare. And there's a few things that has to happen. So the first thing is, functional medicine in its current form is nowhere near efficient enough to serve the masses, right? I know you're all very proud of your 1.5-hour intakes, and it's something that we could be proud of, because we're creating a real connection with the person. But if it's an 1.5-hour appointment and you're $300 an hour, you've automatically put a significant part of the population out of the realms of your care. Just to know that, and it's fine. I want to take a step back to say we're in what I've called functional medicine 2.0. In 1.0, everyone was just trying to work out what to do. There were no rules. No one knew how to run a practice. There were no best practices. Bob Roundtree tells a story from the other day. Back in 1980, there was no supplement companies. So he literally had like a bottle of some herb in his practice and would scoop out to the people leaving, because there was there wasn't the infrastructure there is today. Where we are right now is functional medicine 2.0. We just switched over because, one, there's like a massive consumer demand now. 1 million people went to the IFM website last year looking for a practitioner. The IFM website isn't even that good, and yet 1 million people got to the top left just to go to that little find a practitioner thing in the top right corner. That's up quadruple in the last 3 years. Right, so the demand is there, and also there's best practices. There are people who have built successful practices out there that can show you what it means to build a practice when you're trying to do participatory medicine. If you want patients to participate in your care, there has to be a slightly different interaction, because just, the pill model is super easy to scale, but the interaction and engagement model is very different to do. And so where we are right now is 2. And so what we decided in 2, and I'll tell you later about 3, because 3 is exciting, but it's in a different way. But 2, what the opportunity is right now is to harness the consumer demand into whatever practice structure you have. It could be a local practice, it could be a series of practice or otherwise. So the first thing is we need to get the efficiency right. So, the main ways that I see that people are improving the efficiency, one is the use of technology. We have to get that, starting now here. If you're not using telemedicine, I can't understand why, right? With the traffic in LA the way that it is, forcing people to come to park at your office is abusive. and not necessary, right? If this is not a time when you're going to lay the hands on people and it's not the first appointment where you really want to know them, you should be using the telemedicine, right? Anything. You don't even, if you're not taking insurance, you don't even have to use the HIPAA compliant Zoom. You can use the $10 a month Zoom, right? So that's just one thing that I would just say is just a no-brainer right now to be able to do. Another thing is some sort of like patient tracking between visits. There's things like Nudge Coach. I just saw one called Twine the other day. But this is a way that you can see what patients are doing between visits in real time, right? How many times have you had an appointment where you gave the person something to do and they never showed up and you don't know why? But what happened is after 2 days they realized they hadn't started your food diary. Then they felt embarrassed. They were, dreading the fact that they hadn't made any of the changes they had agreed to you with. And then they're like, oh, I can't even face her again. I'm not going to go, I'm going to cancel. And I think that, when I've had experiences with this in the technology arena, be like, oh, day one, hey, not eating anything today? Oh yeah, I've got to take pictures of my food, or whatever it is. Like, I think that's an important part of delivering on the care. Another area, there's a lot of things we can talk about in technology. I think if you get your EHR working well, that can be a significant time saving. You expect to invest time into getting that right because it's a learning curve for everyone else in the office. So those are a few things. There's other things with technology we can speak to. But the other thing is the delivery of the care, like how the care is delivered. And the two biggest areas that I see of massive efficiency gains, one is the provider team, and particularly the use of health coaches. I was just speaking to, I can't remember your name. Ezra. We were just speaking a minute ago here, and I'm of the opinion, I'll say this right now, is that I think the functional medicine trained health coach is dollar for dollar the most valuable person in the healthcare system. Because, if you want to talk about value-based care, which is what's coming, that's functional medicine 3.0, not to give it away, but that's what we can talk about later. If you have a doctor who's $300 an hour and a health coach who's $60 an hour, is the doctor 5 times better at getting a result for the same issue? If it's a lifestyle-based issue, are they 5 times better? I don't think so. I think they might be about the same. The health coach may be, trained more in behavior change, which is what's necessary to facilitate a reversal of type 2 diabetes, versus a doctor, who is doing their thing and, has a lot more tools at their disposal. But what's the thing there? So what I see with practices that are using these practitioners to do the heavy lifting of the lifestyle change. I think that's a big improvement in efficiency. Frank Littman, in his practice in New York, 2 doctors, 7 health coaches, right? Because he's realized that if he can have every person has a transformational experience because they spend an hour with a provider, but it's not always Frank. You got to pay him like $1,000 an hour to do acupuncture on you, right? Because he's doing it for Jake Gyllenhaal, right? So that's Frank's practice. So that I think that the health coach, and I'm not being health coach biased against nutritionists and dietitians, they are free to play that role. What I'm talking about is a role that's really focused on lifestyle change. And the third way with the efficiency, and I wish, it would be my greatest wish that everyone would get this tonight and just do it. Take the initiative like Ben doing and just do it. We've got to do the group visits. The group visits are tight for so many reasons. It's a way for you to make scaled money. You book, everyone pays you, 9, 10, 20 people paying you at the same time, right? How much do you need to charge to make that worth your while? If you have 20 people in a room, paying a $20 copay, homeless people could pay for that. Like you're getting to a point where you could actually be accessing a whole group of the community. The peer-to-peer support is the most underused tool that we have in medicine completely. The power of community, the peer-to-peer support. I just interviewed Cara Parker on the podcast a few weeks ago, Evolution of Medicine podcast. I've done like 150 of them. Upgrade your commute to the smooth sounds of James Maskell. So I would say, with the group visits, like Cara Parker is doing this in a underserved insurance environment, and it's working and it's thriving and people love it. And the peer-to-peer communication that comes, like people keep each other accountable. There's always one loud one in the room, there's one quiet one. The quiet one won't ask the questions and the loud one asks it, and everyone's having a better time rather than sitting in a room waiting for the doctor to go back and forth between the visits. So that needs to happen, and I think that, if you wanted to talk about, we're going to talk about marketing in a moment, but if your barrier to entry is at $450, like I said before, just think about the barrier to entry into your practice being a $20, group visit 3 nights a week, right? And then out of those people, they have a transformative experience because they've never met a doctor that speaks, thinks, or acts like you. They want to see you at your full rate. You know, there's a lower barrier to entry. You're making an easier transition in. So that's, you know, that's the efficiency thing: the group visit, the provider team, and the and the technology. All three of those can be really transformative. The second thing, the second area where there's the potential for changing practices, I really believe, is the patient education. One-on-one patient education. I gave this talk at Heal Thy Practice in 2012, and it still bothers me. I don't know what I was going to say. Bothers me that our patient education is still so inefficient, right? We're doing an hour-and-a-half visit, and most other doctors are doing a 7-minute visit. What are we doing in the other 83 minutes? If it's a lot of talking, can I just remind you, one, you're on the clock, right? You're on the clock. They view you like they view a lawyer. Everyone knows what kind of interaction they want to have with a lawyer when they're on the clock per minute, as little as possible. And so just know that that environment is happening in a fee-for-service environment. And you just need to know that that is in their brain happening. That's why we've been helping doctors move to more progressive models like direct primary care and membership models where you get paid every month, even when they're on vacation. Imagine that. You don't have to get a whole bunch of new patients on the weekend because everyone's in, I don't know, where do people go here? I haven't lived here long enough. It's not the Hamptons, wherever they go. Hawaii, yeah, when they go away in the summer. So, you know, so patient education. So, you know, the effective use of automated systems of patient education and the use of video cannot be made strongly enough. Like, if there's one thing that you're saying over and over again to patients, if you put that in a video and you can send it to them, ideally before they ever become a patient, so they see how much you care and how different you are, you're solving many problems with one solution. And, you know, it's an important way of doing it. Everyone can do video. Look, the video guy's gone home and we're still doing video, right? Going on his phone wasn't enough. He just left the building. Is he getting paid by the hour? All right, so, you know, so that's the second one. And then the third one is the marketing. Now, marketing, it's unfair for all of you guys to have to keep up with the way the world has changed in the last 10 years. Nalini actually came to the very first event I ever did was in that January 2001 where I came to Hyla's thing. I put on an event with Dr. Patricia Fitzgerald, who was the health editor for the Huffington Post, and a couple other people. We did it just over here, and you know, and the marketing world has changed so differently in the last 10 years. To expect someone who's not a marketer and expect people who are in the trenches treating patients all day to be up with it, I have nothing but sympathy, empathy, all the things that I could have for you for that, because it's not easy. Regular business people, and that's their only job, it's not easy. But I do have to say that I think for the first time, speaking of functional medicine 2.0, there are best practices emerging to have a sustainable way to bring in new patients into your practice. And it's all focused around taking away the idea of marketing and bringing in the idea of community building. And the reason why the reason why they're different is that community building, you know, marketing is a one-on-one relationship that you have with the person via email or otherwise. Community building, you introduce people who want to be healthy to each other as part of that process. So it's typically some sort of event like this. I don't know if this place is probably available, but 11 o'clock on a Saturday, if you're the one doing a talk here on the 6 unknown causes of autoimmunity, and you're advertising it on Facebook ads, and you've got it stuck on Eventbrite where people are looking for events all the time in your area, it's going to work, and you're going to pay to get bums on seats, and you're going to tell your story passionately, and you're going to pitch them to be a member of your practice, and it's going to work. We got hundreds of practitioners doing some variation of that. Some people are doing dinner talks, some people are doing lunchtime talks, but getting a group of people locally who want to be interested in your practice, putting them in a room together and speaking to them, because it's pre-education and it's 20 times more efficient or 60 times more efficient if there's 60 people in a room or 20 people in a room. And you know, it's also introducing people to each other. It's giving them a real experience. You know, it gets people to introduce them to each other. You know, there's all kinds of things you can do with that. So that's a quick sort of overview monologue on, you know, where we stepped in. So just to back up, and then we can get into the questions there. I was a sales rep for a long time. That's how I got to know this world. I interviewed basically 1,000 practitioners between 2007 and 2009. I put 100,000 miles on my car, and my territory is Virginia to Maine, and I went everywhere. I've been to every small town, every chiropractor's office, every weird Reiki muscle testing person. I've done it all. The stuff that I sold was for muscle testers, but I realized that the muscle testing revolution is another 20 years away. And I'm 36 now, and I was 28 then, and I didn't want to wait for it. And I also saw that Hyla brought together everyone in functional medicine. There was just an energy about functional medicine that was moving, and we started the Functional Forum. It was a meetup group for doctors in New York. We created this show, this 90-minute show. You can go and watch every single one of those shows online for free forever. We've had every person in the functional medicine space. Hyla's been on it, Nalini's been on it. And you know, we reduced the barriers to entry for any practitioner to find out about functional medicine. If it was always at a conference, and the conference was $1,000 and you had to fly there and the hotel was expensive, no wonder there's not 10,000 doctors in the room. The hotel's not even big enough. They didn't have a big enough hotel. So you put it online, and now it's easy. And now what we saw at the beginning was just a trickle of doctors who said, I watched the show, I got in touch, I started my functional medicine practice, and I've fallen back in love with medicine. It only took to hear that story 3 or 4 times to think, hey, I think we can quicken that pace even more, and that's why we built the Practice Accelerator and the programs that we built to help facilitate that. We want to do it 100 in a row and 1,000 in a row, and it's all about building the communities of practitioners around the show, introducing more and more practitioners to the concept of functional medicine, positioning functional medicine as a universal language to bring together all of the practitioners that have been integrative and biodynamic and holistic and otherwise. You know, the thing about integrative medicine and why it won't scale is everyone's doing something different. Everyone's doing it different. And that's okay in the early days because you're all artists, and I get it. But it's not scalable, and it's gonna mean that the chronic disease of the future that could be and should be delivered by functional medicine is going to be delivered by whatever Silicon Valley dreams up and can scale up better than us. If you don't believe me, look up Verta Health, V-I-R-T-A Health. It's an online Silicon Valley venture-backed organization, and they only treat type 2 diabetes, and they basically just do ketogenic diet plus coaching plus a doctor. Their numbers are staggering, like 56% of people either lowered or off their insulin. 89% of people a significant reduction in their hemoglobin A1C. Right? Who's doing that? You're the only people that you know that do that. That's not being done in the hospital. No one can do that. Dr. Rangan Chatterjee is doing it on BBC right now in front of 4 million viewers, and that's what's leading to the same wave, but no one's doing it day to day. I know practitioners in your space that are doing it. I know you've probably done it too, right? But Verta Health is doing it, and Silicon Valley is gearing up to take on healthcare. And my hope, more than anything, and this is what I'm going to leave you with, we'll get into the questions, my hope is that a little bit of the heart that's in this industry, that started this, is the reason why we're all here. A little bit of that heart remains in the future of medicine. Because otherwise, what was the point in holism and whatever? If we don't, as a society, learn the lessons that functional medicine teaches of community and root cause resolution and ecological way of looking at the earth, what is the point of all of this? Yeah, we're going to get some people better, but we're still going to be living in America 2017. It's a bit weird, isn't it? Mm-hmm. Right? It's not great. It could be better. I think my moment of clarity that I had in 2005, where I quit being an investment banker after 6 months and went to being a homeopathy salesman, is because I realized that each of these people, each of you, have the opportunity to touch 20,000, 50,000 people over your career. And if I could help those people do what they do better, scale up and make it happen, good things would happen. The positive externalities would do something awesome. And I don't know what they'd be, but we're in the middle of it right now, people, and it's happening, and it's real. And next year, the Cleveland Clinic is going to announce its results. The functional medicine is better outcomes at lower cost for the majority of chronic disease. And there is going to be a scuffle to employ you, because everyone will want what you've got. So you just need to work out what you want. And the power move at this moment in history is to build a successful practice, ideally that has a business model that you get paid regularly and you don't have to scale up the numbers, but that you can build something like that so you're good, and then you can see what opportunities take you in this next era, because I have a strong feeling the demand and supply for functional medicine in my mind is already going this way. It's gonna go a lot higher. So that's my inspiring message. So take it or leave it. It's up to you.
Thank you so much, James. That was awesome. All very inspired. We'd like everybody to participate. Anybody have a question offhand? Jeffrey?
James, that was great. Can you speak to how you make a membership model work from to give the framework of this, or the skeleton from beginning to end, how you bring people into that model and how you keep them in, who's keeping them?
Yeah, absolutely. And I will preface this by saying the one guy who knows how to do this the best in the world is this guy Tom Blue, and we made a course with him where he teaches you how to do this. But I can talk to you about it in the end. But I'll just give you as much as I can. So here's the thing. I just want to back up and say, what I said about people, when you're dealing with someone in a fee-for-service environment, they're feeling like you're their lawyer, and because they're paying you by the minute or by the hour. That's a real thing, right? And good enough practitioners will overcome it. And look, there's been an abundance of sick people, and so that works. But there are massive advantages to having the membership model. One, you get guaranteed monthly income. So my friend Robin Berzin, some of you have heard of her, Parsley Health, is in Mar Vista now. It's $150 a month, and you pay for supplements labs on top of that, but that gets you a certain number of doctor visits and unlimited health coaching. So that's her model. She's scaled up to over 1,000 patients in the 3 locations. That's what's possible right now. She did it in a year and a half. Yeah.
How do you do unlimited health coaching?
Could you talk louder?
How do you do unlimited health coaching? Look, you have to model out how much people are actually going to use. I'm a member of Parsley Health. I haven't used a health coach for a year, right? So times me by whatever, and you understand how the economics work. You have to test it out. But yeah, so to answer your question is, starting from scratch is kind of easier in a certain way. Switching patients over, that transition is a serious thing. And many people, my recommendation to practitioners to do it, and you probably don't want to hear this, is to partner with an entrepreneur. And the reason I say that is, if you're the doctor and you're sitting in the back treating patients, who's going to be convincing people to become a member? And if you don't have that down, that is 2 different roles in any other business. So there's 2 or 3 podcasts we've done on the membership model. I really recommend you listen to the one with Randy James and Kevin Miller. Kevin Miller's the entrepreneur, Randy James is the doctor. And there's such a range you can do as well, dude. If you're already taking insurance, these guys had an $18 a month thing, but they also took insurance. That's the difference between concierge and DPC. Concierge, you still take their insurance, but then you bill them on top extra for non-covered services. And in DPC, it's just you don't take insurance, you just pay them weekly. We've got a chiropractor right now called Bill Hanna, who lives in a population of 4,500 people somewhere in North Dakota. And he's got 300 of them in a member in his practice, and he's crushing it. And he wants to teach all the chiropractors how to do this, because ultimately, if you're a chiropractor, you probably feel that people should be getting adjusted at least once a month, maybe more in an acute situation. But if you've got a service that is based on ongoing work, you should have a business model that reflects it. So I think there's a lot to do. I went to the kind of conferences that I go to now. I wasn't mean about medical conferences. I just don't need to, I've got so much cytochrome P450 in my brain that just squeaks out on the weekends. No, I go to direct primary care conferences. I went to the HID Summit in San Francisco. Direct primary care is its own movement outside of functional medicine. Doctors are realizing, and I talk about it in my book, you could just get rid of most of the infrastructure and just have a real relationship with patients. They can pay you cash, and you can be good. And direct primary care is a movement by itself. So to answer your question, you have to have some sort of transition plan. If you already have a practice, you have to have some sort of date in the future where you're only going to, you have to either be a member or you have to leave. And then you have to deal with the emotional turmoil of having to give up patients. That's, the long and the short of it. Most people feel very connected, and they have to have some way to keep, Maggie, who I've been seeing for this long but can't afford it or whatever. But in the regular DPC world, people are doing DPC for $60 a month. The problem is you can't do that in a functional medicine practice where you're spending time with people. And so the key thing that Tom Blue has in that course, which is worth the $995 it costs, is this calculator where you basically work out what you want to offer in your membership and what you're committing to in terms of your hours, the health coach hours, and everything hours, and then it spits out what you got to charge at the end, depending on how many members you want. People mess that up every time. And they charge too less, and they realize they can't do it, or they charge too much and people don't come, or whatever. You've got to get the pricing right. And the worst thing you could do is just look and see how the next guy's doing it, because his hard costs and everything can be very different.
Sorry, what's DPC?
Direct primary care. Sorry, that's the term that's sort of outside of functional medicine for the membership style practice. All cash and a monthly recurring billing for care. So, there's some people are doing, so some of the most innovative models I'm seeing right now are really low, this is in South Carolina too. It's a physician's assistant who I've seen. It's like she has the direct primary care, pediatric and women's health practice, and it's like $10 a month for the kids and $50 a month for that, but it's all urgent care. And it gets all the people in there, and guess what? In the next door suite is the functional medicine practice with cash fee for service, or I think she has the membership model over there too, but it's a higher level. So that's people are working out different ways to do it. But the way that you've got to do the membership model, you've got to decide what the membership model is, you've got to plan it, and then you've got to plan the membership structure and what it is, and then you've got to sell the members in. It took Robin a year and a half to get 400 members in New York before she started 2 other practices. Or you have to have a tight system where you're getting in front of hundreds of people every week through Facebook ads, and you know your cost of acquisition, and you're bringing new people across.
Okay.
Yeah.
Couldn't we just train our staff to help us with the selling rather than bringing in an entrepreneur? And by the way, chiropractors actually have been doing a monthly subscription model for decades.
Yeah. Yeah, no, absolutely. There's just got to be someone in there. I think a health coach or someone involved, someone on that end could potentially play that role. But it's just got to be a role that's got to be accounted for.
So just to follow up, so is the model that you bring a patient, the doctor evaluates, and then just hands off to a coach, and then every now and then a doctor touches base with the patient, and it's mostly handled by coaches, or what's the framework for that?
The framework is, it's the Wild West, my man, and you can do whatever you want. Robin does.
What's one that's working?
One that's working with Robin is she has 5 visits a year, and there's health coaching delivered, but the health coach the health coach is all virtual by telemedicine. The health coach doesn't work there, and it's in a co-working space. It's in WeWork, right? So she has 1 room or 2 rooms. It's the micro practice. The number one thing that you will get from my book is this concept of a functional micro practice. The reason why practices fail is you try and do the macro practice before you got the micro practice, and you know what that has? It's too much overhead. And then you start running your practice and you're like, oh, I'm the HR, I'm the accounting, I'm the marketing, I'm the doctor, I'm wearing all these hats that I've never worn before. Am I going to be able to meet my projections for the number of patients I'm going to be bringing in? Oh no, and then you're done. But you've got to stay in the game. So the micro practice, what we encourage in the book, for the first time in history, you can run a functional medicine practice off a laptop. You don't need as much stuff as you needed. There's legacy infrastructure, your 15-year lease that you signed, and if you've got that kind of situation, you've got to deal with it the way you've got to deal with it. But what we saw, the first thing that we did with the Functional Forum was to build communities and lower the barrier to entry to any practitioner anywhere in the world to find out about functional medicine. From go to a conference in America to just watch it on any one smart device, of which there's 6 billion, right? So that was the first thing. The second thing that I did with the book, we gave away 50,000 copies. 50,000 practitioners downloaded the book in October when we did the launch. And that book brings down the barriers to entry for practitioners to learn how to build a type of practice that works. And the type of practice that works has to be a micro practice at the beginning, unless you've got money, unless you've got cash to burn to work it out with the overhead. But I would say, with the transition, you want to plan amount of time to convert them. You need to have someone on the team whose role it is to communicate the change. Otherwise, I would have an email autoresponder series that would educate them about why you would do it. And the last thing I would say is the fact that they're paying you directly. This is not a benefit that you should talk to about them. You would, because it's so giddy, oh, they're going to pay me directly, and every month you might think, oh, I'm going to tell my patients this is a benefit. They don't want to pay you at all. They prefer it was free. So it's not a benefit for you to say, hey, you pay you directly, because they'd rather just give their card and the insurance will take care of it, even though that's insane. But that's the feeling. So there has to be some value and scarcity, and that scarcity has to be your time. It's like I've realized I can only take 400 patients, but look, you don't have to be that good at maths to work out. 400 patients paying you $150 a month is decent for a small overhead practice. And so that's an important piece. I was going to say something else, but I forgot. It'll come back to me. Yeah.
I was just going to offer something because I do have a membership service.
Okay.
And I slowly integrated it last year, and then at the end of the year, I announced for 6 weeks that I was raising my rate. But if you want to stick to one of the lower rates, you can become a member. And I have a monthly membership, a quarterly, and every other month, a quarterly, a biannual, and an annual membership. And part of my goal was to make sure that my clients buy all their products from me instead of online. So in order to be a member, it was $50, and I just wrote them a little health plan. That took time. So when I had 45 people sign up for my membership, that was way too much work for me to do for $50. So I would raise that rate for something else. But now if I have one person sign up at a time, it takes me 10 minutes to write something for them with their specific health goals, like 5 massages a year, or let's reduce 3 down to 1 medication a year. So a sheet with my letterhead that they can hang up on their fridge and assess each, throughout the year. And what I do is I charge them at the beginning of the month, on the first of the month, and it's a use it or lose it for that month for their session. Okay. And then there's benefits. And I'm actually looking for ideas on how to grow the membership, because I am a one-person team, and I need to find more ways to make more money from these people.
What do you do?
It sounds like you've...
Holistic nutrition, energy work, functional medicine.
I mean, yeah.
I don't take insurance.
Totally. I would say, look, there we go. This is...
But I did overnight now I have 45 people coming in almost every single month.
I hear you. It could work for different people. I mean, I would say the benefit of the membership model is this, is if your plan for your retirement is to sell your practice, you're going to have to convince someone that the files in your office are worth something, because the chiropractic table is secondhand, and whatever. With the membership model, when you sell a business, you are selling, any business that gets sold, you're selling future income streams, right? That's the only way you price a business. And so, you can see that if you know that there's X number of dollars coming in every month, and it's independent of you going to have to do stuff, it's right. And the other reason why I like it more than anything is that it's the closest thing that I've ever seen to, I think, the model that we all wish we could deliver, which is the Chinese medicine model, which you only pay when you're well and you don't pay when you're sick. You know that one where you don't pay any more when you're sick in this model. But I would say if you're looking for other ways to get money from the same people, I think you've underpriced the membership. But because you should be able
Just
to
buy in.
With that spreadsheet, you would know, okay, at 200 members, I'll break even, or at 100 members, I'll break even. At 300 members, I'll be, making this much a month, and this will be my max of I can only spend 1,600 hours a year reasonably seeing people. I hear you.
Well, it's only $50 to become a member, and their sessions are around $200 a piece.
We're looking for reproducible models for the future of medicine. I hear you. It's not.
Right.
It's not that.
It's
So. I don't know if this thing.
Now
Hello.
we're
I don't
Run
know.
out?
Oh yeah, here we go.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Any more questions? Thoughts about DPC? Yeah.
Just what did you say, Verta Health? What was
Verta,
that?
V-I-R-T-A. V-I-R-T-A, yeah. Yeah.
Are there specific EHR systems that you know of that you would recommend?
Yes, good question. The EHR is a bit of a mess, honestly. No one's really having a great time with it. Obviously, there's different price to reward ratios, right? Obviously, you could start with Practice Fusion, but it's free, and you get what you pay for, and eventually. So the two that we've seen that most practitioners who use them which is probably the number one thing, we've had companies who have tried to pay us to endorse their EHR, and we said no. We chose, Robin Burrs and Chris Kress or whatever. There's this whole network of practitioners in the Bay Area. They all use MDHQ, and MDHQ is a good one. But at the Hint Summit that I was just at for the DPC, Hint Health is the DPC billing software that bills your members every month. And once you get past 45 members, you don't want it on a spreadsheet. Hint integrates with a certain number of tools. One of them is Elation. So I've never recommended Elation before, but I know a big group of people who are actually really happy with Elation, who are doing functional medicine. E-L-A-T-I-O-N, Elation, EHR, MDHQ. There are other ones around that, but what I like to do is to ask people whether they actually like their thing, and no one else has consistently said, I like this one. I know doctors that use Charm. I know doctors that use, some of the Chiro Touch or whatever. But I think, those are the ones that I've seen that people like.
Do you have any experience using with digital groups?
Yeah, so it's a really interesting frontier. So, you know, a good friend of mine is Dr. Kelly Brogan. Some of you guys might know her. She's a psychiatrist in New York. She told me recently that the results that the people were getting in her like online Facebook group with her course were superior to the results that she was getting in her clinical practice at $5,000 a pop. And she was convinced, she's absolutely convinced, there's the peer-to-peer support in the group. That people go in there for help, everyone wants to help, and there's real value in there. So I think, you know, Facebook is a structure, the group structure. If you listen to what Zuckerberg is saying, like they want to be community, whatever, like they will be making it better, there will be more and more functionality added into those groups. People are already there. That is definitely for me the MVP of like any sort of community in the practice. There's a guy called Sachin Patel who's awesome. I would definitely recommend following him online, and he uses groups very well. He started a fast group with people to do a 3-day fast, and people like opt into the group, and then he can like market the other events and stuff that he's doing in there. There's this lady called Dr. Chanel Heerman, who spoke in the Evolution of Psychiatry Functional Forum. She did a 5-minute talk. She's got a telemedicine group visit that she does with the underserved. So, you know, everyone is there, and she's really enjoyed that. She's found that people really like it, and, you know, she's got good results with it. So look, again, it's the Wild West. One of the cool things that I saw recently, which I'd never seen before, is this company Spruce that does EHR. They have an asynchronous doctor's visit. What that means is you leave a message for the video message for the doctor, and the doctor video messages you right back. That's what people are using. What?
On Facebook?
No, it's a HIPAA compliant EHR.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But like in the members area, so you don't have to be on at the same time with the doctor. You could feel crappy overnight, leave him a message, and when he gets in the morning, he's like, oh, this guy left me a message, and could normally get back to them within 3 minutes. So that's what I say, like, I still think the technology that is gonna take functional medicine to the masses probably hasn't been made yet. It's probably being made right now. But there are different pieces that I think are getting it right. It's not that easy right now to get it all to match, right, to talk to each other. It's a kind of a big pain in the ass. I think there are solutions to that coming too. But if I was starting a practice from scratch today, I would use Hint. If I was doing the DPC, I would definitely do a DPC practice. I would do a monthly membership practice. I would use Hint Health, Elation, and Spruce. Telemedicine, EHR, and that, they all interact together. Hint is doing a good job at having things like bolt in together into their practice, and so I think that's a good model. All right, yeah, Patricia.
So are you looking to be a competitor of the Verta? Are you looking to hook up with Verta?
I'm not being swept unbelievably quite well. So I'm just observing Verta doing their thing and just being like, hey, I only knew one group of people that was reversing type 2 diabetes, and it was us. And now these guys are doing it, and at scale, and tracking their outcomes, and all the stuff that we should be doing for the last 5 years. So it's a good question. I don't have it. I'm speaking at an event with them in October, so maybe I'll get to meet the dude. But I don't, they're doing their thing, they got their own trajectory, and at this moment, my goal is to empower the physician entrepreneur to build this kind of practice and build a low overhead, low cost practice that most people could afford to thing, and open up from the 20% of people that can afford it now to the 80% of people that could probably afford it if we got it right. It's the public sector, right? The public sector can't get the tech right. So that's that. So I don't know with Verta. I'm just watching them from afar, but being like, hey, and there's a few things like Verta. So there's a lot of people like looking at healthcare now and wanting to make it happen. I just feel like I don't know that any of these guys care about anything apart from making a ton of money. Otherwise, but I know that there is a heart connection of the group that are here that is different from that, and I want to see that preserved in the future of medicine. And so I'm working right now. I want to tell you about two or three things that we have coming up that I'll let you know. So I'm going to give you all an awesome gift right now. You can all come to the pre-party next week on Wednesday night downtown. I'll give you the link right now, but I'm doing the official pre-party of the IFM annual conference. It's going to be downtown. It's going to be fun. On the page, there is a donation that you can give. All the money is going to the Buck Institute for Dale Bredesen's research. That's where the money's going. Make a donation and you can come. I won't judge. I won't tell you if you did $1, but don't do $1. Do like $5 at least. But you guys go. It's on Wednesday night. It's downtown. It's the official pre-party to the IFM annual conference. How did I get the official IFM pre-party? I had a cool party for 10 people last year, and the IFM people were like, "Why weren't I invited?" So I said, "You got to give me the pre-party." So it's going to be awesome. We're going to have Dr. Bredesen in the house. We're going to do an interactive experience that I'm going to tell you about now because you guys will enjoy this. So. We just announced, if you're on our email list, you get an email about this tomorrow, but the podcast came out today. I want to see functional medicine deliver on its promise to actually get people healthier and create structure. And one of the things that I feel in America, and I'm sure you feel too, we're kind of like clamped to what we can do, right? You have your license and that clamps you. There's various things that don't allow us to do, what we might like to do. So on June the 30th, and this is going to be the functional forums for the July and August this summer. On June the 30th, we're going to a little island called Guernsey. And Guernsey is a tiny island between England and France that is a tax haven. It's not in the EU and it's not in the UK. They have their completely autonomous sovereign nation. They can do whatever they want. They're doing actually, highly, you'd like to know, some of the most advanced trials with psychedelics for PTSD. Because guess what? You can't just make psychedelics in America or Europe, right? You have to get a license and it's a whole thing. Can you make MDMA? It's illegal. It's a class 1 drug. Guernsey, you do whatever you want. So, that's that. Second, 60,000 people.
Wow.
60,000 people on the island. So guess what? They want to be the first nation in the world to get to life expectancy 100. They want to leapfrog Japan, Monaco, Norway, think of the top 3. So on June the 30th, we're going to bring a whole day of talks from there. You can live stream it for free. It's going to be pretty early in the morning if you live in LA, but we'll be online forever for free. Dr. Rangan Chatterjee, probably the biggest star in functional medicine right now, and will be very, he's the awesome, humble dude. He's going to really bring functional medicine to the masses worldwide. His show is an incredible hit. Rangan, R-A-N-G-A-N, Chatterjee, Chatter, J-E-E, 6'7" Indian, and he's on this show called Doctor in the House in the UK, where it's like Dr. Oz meets Super Nanny, and he's in the house for 60 days living with. Would you believe, Hyla? In Ontario, everyone just gets $1,200 a month. Universal basic income, it's coming. The jobs are going away. Manufacturing jobs aren't coming back to America. Robots are going to be doing it. You're going to have my daughter will never have a driver's license. Right? She's 4. Is she going to drive a car? Probably not. So so we're doing it there. We've got all kinds of talks, and then there's Janet Settle and Sachin Patel and various other people in the thing. So we're doing Journey 100. So as part of that, we're going to crowdsource from our community the 10 principles of health creation. So you might be familiar with the 10 Commandments, or you might be more familiar with the 10 principles of Burning Man, but or somewhere in the middle. There is 10 principles of health creation, and we're going to actually crowdsource it from this community, from our community. So if you come on Wednesday night, you'll get to put in your ideas of what the principle could be, stick it up on the wall. It might be next to Mark Hyman's one, or Chris Kress's one, or Jeff Bland's one, or whatever. Come along and check it out. I'll give you the details on how you can do that. So that's what we're doing on Wednesday night. We're launching Journey 100. That's going to be on June 30th. This summer, we've got 450 registered meetup groups now for the Functional Forum. And there's a lady, has anyone heard of Dr. Cynthia Thayek? Do you know that name? Thyke? You say Thyke?
Cardiologist?
Thyke, yeah.
Yeah.
Cynthia Thyke has a 105-person meetup in Glendale. And she did it all by herself. She got 9 sponsors. She had 130 people RSVP. She pulled it together in a month. That's, we created a structure for people to go and do that. And so, it's really exciting to see the meetups starting to have momentum. And the coolest thing about the meetups, and this speaks to this, is we just used the show to grow the meetups at the beginning because it was easy and it was a good start. But I'll tell you right now, the vision for the meetups is more like what you guys are doing here. The vision is, we don't want to control everything. It's decision making, local decision making. If you guys want to have this group, if you like this group, my recommendation, Ben, on how to make this group better, ask people in the group what they want. Simple. Ask them what they want and deliver what they want. We asked the Functional Forum meetup hosts what they want. They said, we don't necessarily always want to do it on a Monday. We don't want to watch the whole 90 minutes. Some people watch it on live and whatever. We want to spend time with each other and connect and talk. So let's have less content. So they do what they want. We have a half an hour version of the forum. They watch that. That's really, we're setting up a structure where it's easy for groups to get together, to learn in community. And, and I'm going all over the place. But Journey 100, the whole point of that is, can we deliver functional medicine to reduce the healthcare costs of a sovereign nation, with a vision and that those 10 principles of health creation, we hope, will form the basis of future legislation in other countries. There's going to be a race on for solving chronic disease because no one knows how to do it. I think functional medicine is the most likely operating system to deliver on the promise of reducing the cost of chronic disease. What a great time to be alive. I have to say, there's a lot of weird stuff happening in the country right now, but it is cool to see. I don't know if you feel it, but I feel there's a shift. All the stuff that used to be weird is now cool, right? And you guys are in some ways like kind of the new rock stars, in that you can help people with these diseases, and the mainstream medicine isn't doing such a great job at these chronic diseases. And so I guess I would say we have a very shallow understanding of cause and effect. And I would say that the ripple effect of having a book and being a celebrity and being out there doing your thing versus the ripple effect of being in practice every day for 30 years and healing people and doing the work that you do, I don't think there's that much difference between those two things. I think the ripple effects of having empathy, providing support, being a true, being someone who's on the front lines helping people, I think the ripple effects of that are what's causing what's happening now. And everyone's had some sort of interaction with some sort of provider in the space. I think the majority of those interactions are positive just for the quality of the human connection. And I feel like I'm a cheerleader for the community and for you guys out there forward. And I think that there's an opportunity now for functional medicine to take its rightful place in medicine at the front. And it's going to take some work, it's going to take some entrepreneurship, but I've seen enough good examples of it now to know that it's going to happen.
Yes.
You guys bored yet?
Can I ask a question? In the membership system that you said, when they do the audio messages back and forth, when does the practitioner have time to do that when they're seeing patients all day? Or are you saying that they evolved to see less people one-on-one?
More information that I got from that class is, one, there's a change in attitudes toward whether people care what the license is of the person that gets back to them. So they saw that the case manager, in a lot of cases, who is probably not, in some cases, in a medical practice, probably not a health coach. I'm talking about a mainstream primary care practice. That's probably like a MA or whatever. More people, there's a trend towards people really liking that person, right? Because that person can sort out a lot of those issues. And then the second thing is in the membership model, the goal is that the incentives are aligned. It's better for the doctor for the patient to be well, and it's better for the patient to be well. None of those things are the model in the regular medical system. The incentives are all over the place. So, hopefully, you're in a position where you have someone else who can support that because you've got, members and you've got a strong business model, or that's just a part of your routine where the block hour, the first hour of the day is getting back to those things. Because guess what? You can resolve something that would have been a half an hour appointment in the office where they had to drive to you in, on average, this is not in functional medicine. So I'm just, I have to give that context. This is for regular DPT practices. The average message is 3 minutes, and the average resolution message is 3 minutes. That's the 6-minute visit. I use this app called Voxer. Does anyone use Voxer?
Yeah.
Voxer's awesome. That's why, the idea is I don't have to be on the phone with someone from my team to tell them what to do. I can just leave them a message, and if they didn't hear me right the first time, they can go back and listen to it again. So this asynchronous communication is an interesting trend, and this is the first people I've seen bring it into medicine. Yeah.
Next Wednesday, you're going to email us?
Yeah, I'm going to give you right now. Go evomed, GoEvomed.com/IFMAIC, all capitals, IFMAIC. That takes you to the page. You can either buy a ticket for $100, all proceeds go to Dr. Bredesen and his the Buck Institute, or you can leave another donation on there. And we just put that other donation button up yesterday. So, make a donation, come down, hang out. It'll be fun, I promise.
James, could you give that address a little faster?
Yep. Go evomed, GoEvomed.com/IFMAIC. All capitals on the last bit there.
And what's the time on that?
It's so it starts at 7. The content piece is going to be 8:15 to 9, and then 9 to 10 is just going to be hanging out.
Dancing, right?
Dancing. We've got 3 booze sponsors. It's a good functional medicine event when you have that. No, Dry Farm Wines, ketogenic wine. They sponsor any of the functional. Dude, you could get free wine. You only have to have 20 people, and you could have free wine here. For the meetup, so I'll hook you up.
Is that right?
You guys will be the main beneficiaries. So we got that. We've got some other cool stuff going on. But yeah, we're going to do the interactive thing where people can choose their health principles, and then we're going to, we're going to have the content. I'm going to interview Dale Bredesen. I've got 5 people whose lives have been transformed in a really positive way from a neurodegenerative disease. Because neurodegenerative diseases are not sexy or fun or even, it's kind of a depressing thing, right? But there are people who have been touched by that disease and have done tremendous things afterwards, and I want to highlight some of that. So it'll be super fun. Come down, Jody 100, put on your schedule. I want to talk give me 5 minutes to talk about functional medicine 3.0, because I really think this is, I'd like to see just where the future is going here. So 1.0, let's remember, this is practitioners just trying to make the practice model work, right? No one knew what they were doing. You try and do, the doctor's doing it all. Everyone's just doing it because they feel a moral compulsion to practice this type of medicine, right? They feel morally compelled to deliver this kind of care because they've seen it work. So that's 1.0, no real best practices, people muddling through it. I think we've just entered 2.0. And in 2.0, the consumer demand's higher. There's best practices for how to run the practice. There's technologies that have arrived into make the delivery of a practice much more efficient and streamlined, and that. So 3.0, and in 2.0, it's still okay to sell your supplements to your patient. Battery low. Sorry, Ben. Well, it's not my fault, it's the microphone. I'm okay. English, apologize too much. And you have the structure there. So in 1.0, people just muddling the business model. In 2, I still think it's okay to sell supplements to your patients. As this becomes actually part of medicine, is that kind of stuff going to be cool, right? We have to think that might not be always cool. I like what you said about the membership and giving your members discounts on supplements if they're a member. The energy of functional medicine to me is moving towards like the energy of the DPC movement, which in this era, everything in the functional practice was a profit center. You could make a bit on the labs, you could make a bit on the supplements, you could make a bit on the visits, and you do okay, right? The way that I see it moving is that it's more like, hey, you're a member of my practice. I'm going to be like a health fiduciary for you, and I'm going to help you out, and I'm going to help you save money in all these different areas. Because you know what? People have most people have the high deductible, and they have no idea how to use it. And they're going to see their primary care doctor, and they say, oh, you need these labs, and they're going, okay, fine. And then the lab comes up, it pings up to the insurance company, and it pings right back to you, and you paid $1,500 for a lab that if you'd gone directly to the lab and paid cash, it would cost you $150. Right? What if we all just help the patients navigate that bullshit, right? How much how much trust would we develop so quickly to be able to help them navigate that much trust, that much support? Now, you've got to find a business model that you're going to get paid to replace the income, but I think that's the energy of the way things are moving. It's transparency more than anything, right? 10 years ago, did your patients ever really know? I was in the supplement game for a long time. Did you ever really tell your patients you had 100% markup on supplements? You want to be real about something? Let's have some real talk, right? And guess what? The internet came along and you got found out because it was 50% less on Amazon. Well, I understand, but you understand what's happened in the last 5 years in the supplement industry, right? It's been a battle. Some companies have done differently. Everyone's made different choices, but that's a thing.
Reality.
It's a reality. So, I feel like trust is going to be the commodity here. And we should be winning the trust game hell for leather, because this is you're doing this for the right reasons. In the vast majority of cases, it's annoying. I think we could go further as a group together if we were able to really earn and develop the trust of the practitioners, of the patients, in the money spending. Back in the functional forum a while ago, I haven't got to number 3 yet, but this is 2. 3, I'm just going to go there right now. Value-based care. Value-based care. Trump care, value-based care. Obamacare, value-based care. Worldwide, value-based care. You know why? Because incentivizing people to do the heart stent is insane if you're going to pay the bill, because you get incentivized to do the most expensive stuff, which is totally backwards. We all know it's backwards. So, value-based care is a simple maths equation. I'm going to stand up because the mic's not even working. Actually, I've got my video. Value-based care. Value equals outcomes divided by cost.
You can do it. It's got you on the board as well.
That's right. Value, outcomes, cost. Okay. What are the most expensive things? How do you make a high value? High outcomes, low cost, right? Lower cost as possible. What are things that are super expensive? Drugs, Humira, time with a specialist, right? You have to do some magic to get good value from that stuff now. Value, because the cost is so high. Okay, now let's talk about a functional medicine practice. You've got your provider team and you've got the care that your provider team provides. That's what you provided. The only entrance in is the $450 fee for service or whatever, reducing the number of people there. My suggestion for how a practice should get ready for value-based care is to add the following nodes outside the practice. You've got the core in the middle, which is basically the provider team. I was in Australia and I saw a 15-person provider team. 5 physicians, 5 other sort of naturopaths, and then 5 other non-naturopath physician people. I saw a 15-person team. They had 6 inpatients in their clinic, and they spent the first half an hour going through all of them. Can you imagine having 15 practitioners comment on a case? It was incredible. The amount of energy going back in the room, the different thinking process, it was really magic. But that's expensive, because that's all those practitioners sitting there together and you got to use all their time, right? So the core is expensive. The care is kind of expensive. So there's 3 other rings and they all begin with C. So I make it easy for you. The next ring out is coaching. And for what I said earlier, right? $50, $600, $300, $60, even $30. Whatever that number is, coaching is a layer outside of the practice that's less expensive, that's focused on behavior change, and is better value than what's in here. If the issue is based on lifestyle issues. The next layer out is community. The reason why community is powerful is because a peer-to-peer interaction doesn't cost anything. If I introduce 2 healthy people who want to be healthy to each other, and they support each other by being accountability buddies and running buddies and surfing buddies and eating buddies and whatever, there's no cost that's there. Doing an event like this where you speak to a group of people and they meet these other people and there's benefit that comes from that, doesn't cost anything. Group visit, less than a health coach. You see we're going out and out and out. So here's the community. And then the last layer outside is content. Some people can get well with content. I'm sure between Hyla and Nalini, there are people that have had their lives transformed from reading their books, right? They've read the book, they've interacted with the content, just cost them the price of the book. And in some cases, it might be a blog that's free. They've read something, they've applied it, and they've got better. This is the model for value-based care, because if you come in from the side and you're a patient, you come into this thing, the first thing that you get is content. The people that can get well with content, they just didn't know about intermittent fasting, and you told them about it, and now they're doing it. That's free. Community, you come to an event where someone's giving an education and you introduce two people to each other, that's almost free. Coaching, a layer of provider between the patient and the doctor, that's cheap, right? In Sachin Patel's practice, you don't get to see the doctor unless you've had an initial appointment with the health coach and you've made some agreements about what's going to happen while you're in this care. Are you going to eat the diet? Like, are you going to make the behavior changes? Where's your head at? You know, why do you want to get better? Like, let's get through that before we give them the most expensive provider's time, right? Let's have a moment where we get real with what's going to have to happen for health to happen here. So that's, you know, those are there, coaching. And then if people have exhausted all of those areas, then you can come into the care of the practice, because then you've exhausted all of the things that can scale or scale better. So I would say, you know, the benefits of doing this as well are represented by the fact that now you have a successful practice, because you're putting content out there, it's being shared and in the community, and you've got a low access point, a low cost access point to come into the practice. You've made the barriers to entry that much lower for people to know, like, and trust you and come into the care or to come into the core if they need it. So that's, you know, that came to me while I was in Brisbane and seeing this practice, because I really feel like we've been trained for so long in the model, everything's upside down. The most interesting model, is any an ND here, naturopath? Dude, the therapeutic order. Obviously the best idea. The least costly, least invasive intervention first, and then you move up the pyramid. No one can argue with that. The only people who can argue with that are the people who have a fiduciary responsibility to their shareholders who sell you stuff, like hospitals and pharma and insurance. Everyone else, that makes perfect sense for. And I think that we can be custodians of that and deliver that to the local communities. I think about this a lot. You know, this is my life. I want everyone. This is just like a fun evening event that we're all having here, and you know, I'm just I'm happy to be in your group, and you know, anything that we can do at the Evolution of Medicine. I'll give you one more thing. If you go to goevomed.com, you can book a concierge call. If you've never had a concierge call, speak to our team there. You can tell them about what's going on in the practice, and they can point you towards things that can be helpful. Ben, I know normally you're doing probably like 15 to 20% of the talking. Today, less than 5. How'd you feel about that?
Oh, it was awesome, man. It was great.
Yeah. Hyla, how you doing?
I am re-inspired.
Are you taking notes? Or are you checking your email? I couldn't tell.
I am taking notes.
Okay, good.
I always learn from you.
Thank you.
You're
Yeah, thank
amazing.
you all.
This was awesome.
Isn't he amazing?
It's really good to shake it up a little.
Yeah, that's what I feel too. I feel like that, you know, shaking it up and it working gives a sense of confidence that, like, oh, we could actually do way more cool stuff than we think. And I think that's the biggest thing that I see that is kind of a barrier to progress, is that, but I feel like a group can do that, can generate that much more quickly, because, oh, I started doing this and I want to hear about it, and otherwise I think there's a synergy. So that's why I come and speak here, and also because I live 5 minutes away.
And by the way, I just want to add something, that Sachin Patel's course, he gives a 30-day freebie. Anybody can go online and take his 30-day free course. And it consists of dietary change. It's a lot of education.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
And a lot of
Sachin's
life-changing.
running I went and did an event with him, and he's running one of the most innovative practices, I think, in the North America. We've been in an interesting position to be able to see what's going on, to look out and say, oh, this guy's doing is cool, this guy's doing is cool, and then just communicate that to everyone via the podcast, via the forum, or otherwise. So yeah, dig into the forums. We've talked about this for like 3.5 years. It's definitely evolved. But what I can say more than anything is I'm more confident today about us taking our rightful place. I interviewed Jeff Bland for an event that I'm doing later in the year today, and I mean, how thrilled must that guy be to see what functional medicine is becoming and has become. But you see what Jeff's doing. If you watch very closely what Jeff's doing now with his PLMI, is he's bringing together genomics, wearable device, tech stuff, Silicon Valley, and making functional medicine part of the equation. And how he's doing that is because functional medicine is the operating system to do this, right? P4 medicine, predictive, preventive, participatory. It's an aspiration. It's not a system. You need a system to deliver it. So I think it's an exciting time to be here. I think that this functional medicine space is well delivered by any of the practitioners here. I think that the chiropractor has to unlearn the least to be able to deliver it. People like Hanna had to unlearn quite a lot of stuff to be, a functional medicine doctor, right? A little bit. You don't do the benzos so much anymore.
No, I was never a meds doctor.
I know. All right, I have a 4-year-old. I can stay and have a conversation with you guys. I might try and see if I can get her before she goes to bed, but thank you for having me.